exciting to be here today. Welcome, ATECH, woo! I'm really thrilled to share with you all what so many people are calling the next big transformational technology, blockchain. And so to start, what I'd love to do is just share a personal story about my first experience with blockchain. Gotta get the slides going. Okay. So when I graduated from NYU Stern, I was out in California for a little while and met a new startup called ATECH that was using blockchain technology to provide digital identities to individuals who were fleeing from, to individuals who were leaving Syria. I'm noticing my earrings are, yes. Yep, okay, no more clanking, good. So they were using digital technology to provide, blockchain technology to provide digital identities to refugees leaving Syria. And they were also using this technology to offer traceability, to be able to look at humanitarian aid dollars and see exactly where dollars from donors were going to the recipients and how that money was being spent by those recipients. This got me super excited about the potential of this technology. I knew I wanted to work for a big company that was using tech to change the world. And I'm so thrilled to be with IBM, who's leading the way in blockchain innovation globally. So there's a ton of buzz about blockchain. I think this comic strip perfectly reflects a lot of the conversations that are taking place in boardrooms and across government agencies around the globe. Businesses, government, entrepreneurs are scratching their heads thinking, what do we do with this? I know I should be doing something with blockchain, but I'm not sure what I should be doing with blockchain, right? And so what I'm hoping for today in our discussions is that you all leave with a better understanding, and I'm going to really demystify what the potential is for this technology. And I'm going to do that by sharing 3 real-life stories, all supply chain use cases about diamonds, coffee beans, and blueberries. My hope at the end of the session is that you all leave with a really good idea of exactly how blockchain works. You can start applying it to different problems you see around you, and you feel inspired to learn more about this technology, dive into it, and maybe even identify solutions in your communities and in your workplace. So I want to just level set and start with the basics. And while it sounds really complicated and there's a lot of technicalities in it, it's actually quite simple at its premise. So we've got a block on the screen, and this block represents a piece of information. Now, individual blocks of information are shared on a shared database, and this is also known as a distributed ledger. And so as additional blocks of information are shared on this database, they're shared sequentially in an append-only format. So you can imagine these blocks of linking together to form a chain. All of this data is secured by a type of cryptography, which means that you cannot change the data. You can't erase it, you can't modify it, it's totally a permanent record. And so if you've made an entry that you want to reverse, the only way you can do that is by adding an additional block to the chain. And in this way, everyone can see exactly all of the activity that's happened in this database. Information stored in this database is not owned by anyone, but it's shared by everyone. And this is one of the key differentiators from a traditional database to a blockchain database. And so you could think of traditional databases as having one owner who's in control of all the information. Whereas with blockchain, the databases are replicated. You've got carbon copies on all of the computers or nodes in that network. And so whenever there's a change, that change is shared across all of the computers that are participating in that network. In this way, blockchain truly offers a new way for digital data to be consumed and shared. It's more secure, efficient, and transparent. So I'm going to start with my first example in the diamond industry. IBM partnered with Everledger, and they were really interested in reducing fraud in the diamond industry. Now, this industry is highly regulated, and the goal was to use blockchain technology to ensure that all of the participants were being compliant with the regulations, including those imposed by the United Nations to reduce the sale of conflict diamonds. On blockchain, they were able to track certificates of authenticity. They were able to look at product information like cut, clarity, color, carats, and they were able to use this technology to identify bad actors. So now you've got a platform that's totally auditable, totally indisputable, and reliable to be able to track a diamond from the mine all the way to the retail store. There are many different types of blockchains. Public blockchains, private blockchains, permissionless, they all exist on a spectrum. And so one key differentiator, something that's helpful to think about, is the need for anonymity versus the need for privacy. So with anonymity, you don't know you don't know who's sharing the information, but you can see the actual information. Whereas with privacy, you know who the individuals are that are participating in that network, but you can't see everything that they're sharing, so they're able to secure some of the data. So I know earlier there was a question, who here knows of Bitcoin? Bitcoin and Ethereum are both examples of public blockchains. Here, all of the participants are able to share transactions, and you can see exactly what's happening in that network, but you don't know who are the individuals within that network, so they're totally anonymous. As IBM started working with its clients, the banking industry, the healthcare industry, we realized that we really needed a platform that had more security, more privacy, and a permissioned environment. And so we've spent a lot of time contributing code and development resources and intellectual property to the Hyperledger Fabric, which is a project of the Linux Foundation. And this is an open source protocol, but it enables you to define the ways that the participants in that network interact, which turns out it's really key for businesses that want to know who they're doing business with, but might not want to share all of the information with one another. CEO and Chairman Ginny Rometty says blockchain will do for trusted transactions what the internet did for information. Just think about that. Think back to the start of the internet age. Government agencies, educational institutions, businesses all started creating their own intranets, right? So they wanted a way to share information with one another more seamlessly within their organization. They were figuring out the use cases, designing different architecture, and over time, these individual intranets started linking together and morphed into one giant internet. Well, blockchain's following a similar trajectory. We are in the early days of this technology, and everyone's trying to figure out what are the best use cases for it, what does the architecture look like, which protocol should we use. But as this technology evolves and matures over time, blockchain will be ubiquitous. So I think one of the ways to really start to understand what this technology does is to be able to get under the hood and test drive it. So I'm actually going to do share a pilot that we've been working on about the journey of a coffee cup all the way back to the farm in Ethiopia where the beans come from. And for this, I've got my prop here, the coffee cup that was actually used in this pilot. And so IBM teamed up with the Brooklyn Roasting Company, and they were really interested in seeing how their brand resonates with millennials. So we decided in a 6-week pilot we were going to use blockchain and get this information into the hands of their customers. And so we thought no better place to go but to Brooklyn, New York, to a food festival that takes place on Saturdays and brings 30,000 people out. We were going to go there and give folks all the information about their cup of coffee. So let me just set the stage and then we'll do the demo. When you'd order your favorite cup of coffee, and you had a unique QR code on your cup. And then there were folks standing there with iPads where you could scan this QR code in and get all of the history of the beans that made your coffee. So what we'll do now, we're going to turn over to the computer, and I'm going to share with you exactly how this worked. So you've scanned your QR code in, and then I'm just going to submit. And here we've got some basic information about that coffee. So we can see when you were served, who the barista was, the type of beans used, and who the roaster was. Then we have some more interesting information. So we can scan back all the way 9 months to the moment the 150 bags of coffee beans were purchased in Ethiopia. Let's actually dig in and see a little bit more about what's going on. So the roasters they rated the coffee beans. We actually have their scores uploaded into the blockchain. So they've graded it on the aroma, the aftertaste, the acidity, you could see some of the comments, some of the other notes that they tasted in the coffee. And so all of that data has been uploaded to the blockchain. We can also see shipping information, so where the coffee was exported and imported. And we can actually go in and view the code. All of the source code is available in GitHub. And so here you can see the lot number, whether there were insects in the shipping containers and the condition of the containers, whether there was condensation or holes, the number of bags that were expected. And what's really cool is we even have the original documentation. So we have uploaded and secured to the database all of the details of that import. We've also got all of the details of the export. So we can see that this left port in Djibouti, you could see the weight of the container and the bill of lading and the actual seal. One other thing that was incredibly important to the Brooklyn Roasting Company is sustainability and social responsibility. And they knew that that would also resonate with their customers. So they wanted a way to show that information to their coffee drinkers. And so we've got here some information about their fair trade pricing. We can see how much they've invested back into the community and exactly how those funds are being spent. We've actually got the original fair trade report here, where we can see that the funds are being invested in fixing up classrooms, improving the conditions of the road, and helping with food security, like building a flour mill. I don't know about you, but this really excites me that with a QR code, now all of a sudden we can bring together disparate pockets of information from the grower, the roaster, the shipper. Information that lived in isolation before all comes together, and we know, because of the way it's being stored, that it's totally verifiable, it can't be tampered with, and it's giving end-to-end transparency to a process. So I just think about, food. Imagine all food having a QR code where you can see exactly where it came from. How cool that would be. Okay, flipping back to the presentation. Great. So IBM has worked on over 500 blockchain projects across industries. We work in travel and tourism, we've worked in healthcare, insurance, we've worked on identity with government agencies, and we have lots of ways that we work with folks across the spectrum. So in one type of partnership, we go really deep, like our work with Maersk, where we're actually building out a global supply chain for the shipping industry. So seeing more than just coffee beans, but really seeing the cargo on the ships across the ocean and being able to track that whole process. On the other end of the spectrum, we run half-day workshops, which we call blockchain garages. And they're design thinking workshops where we bring companies in, we roll up our sleeves, and we think about the problems that their customers are facing. And we brainstorm ways that this technology can help to ameliorate those problems. So one final story I'm really excited to share with you is a story about food, which we can all relate to. We've partnered with Walmart and Nestle and other food companies to start to really understand what's happening in the food supply chain. So let me just share a little bit about the challenges with the food system. Today, 1 in 10 people get sick every year, and 420,000 people die annually due to foodborne illness. 1/3 of produce goes to waste globally every year, and in the US alone, that equates to $29 billion of food waste. IBM is really committed to solving these challenges, and when we started digging in and looking at the complexity of the food supply chain, we thought we need to design a solution that can trace from farm to fork what's happening with this produce. And so the IBM Food Trust is a solution that we have in market that enables us to do just that level of tracing. And I thought the best way to really get you closer to what this work looks like is to actually hear from the experts in the industry themselves. And so I've got a short video so that you can hear directly from them.
The journey of food, from its origins to our plate, is all about transformation. Food is constantly changing, and everything that we do to it makes that change accelerate. Things are ripening, things are deteriorating, microbial populations are rising and falling, which begs the question, how well do we know our food?
With everything available at our fingertips, consumers want to know where their product's coming from.
Where it originated from, how was it produced, if it's organic, is it sustainably grown?
The consumer expects to be able to trust their food. It's what we build our company on. It's how we thrive in the industry.
And when it comes to food safety and traceability and resolving outbreaks, you have to be fast and you have to be right.
If you lose trust in something that important, the entire industry suffers. They think it's all lettuce, it's all tomatoes.
It's very frustrating to be part of a supply chain where you have to pull large quantities of product, but it's the right thing to do because you want people to be safe. The bottom line of technology today in the food space is that it enables us to have a visibility and a trust level that was unaccomplishable previously.
What makes me the most proud of what I do is being able to be a part of something that's bigger than me, knowing that everything that we're sending out there is safe.
That's what technology is supposed to be doing, is giving us these tools to make our lives easier, better, and safer.
For the first time in our history, we have the power to know everything about our food. So let's see what that power can do.
So I hope that video brought some of the things that we've been talking about to life a little more. I just think about the next time there's a salmonella outbreak, that we can identify the exact farm, the exact crop, and be able to pinpoint where in the supply chain the issue has come from. And so hopefully with these 3 stories about diamonds, coffee beans, and blueberries, you now leave with a better sense of exactly how this technology can be applied to address industry issues and solve a lot of problems. Also, I've shared these 3 supply chain examples, but I want you to know that there are many, many more use cases. We're working with a startup in Canada called Secure Key to help create digital identities and give citizens the power to control who actually accesses their identity. So that when you go to open a new bank account, you can remove the third-party validators, those in the middle who are able to actually access and see your information. We're working on cross-border payment solution to bring more efficiency and reduce costs when you send money overseas. So there's dozens of use cases, and I just take a step back and think, in today's world, we don't operate in silos, but with the digital age, everything is so interconnected, and that means there's so many possibilities to unlock, to create new value, new business models, optimize ecosystems, and reduce risks. I hope you share in my excitement about the potential of this technology. Just think about the people in your communities, the people across this island, and across the globe. With blockchain, the possibilities are endless about the impacts we can have on citizens' lives and on the planet. Thank you so much for your time today.